everyone. Today we are learning who Nicholas Copernicus is. What did he find out about the solar system? Do you have any idea about that? If you have any idea about that, please comment. Nicholas Copernicus. When you wake up early in the morning, the sun seems to be rising in the east. In the evening, it appears to be going down in the west. Has the sun really moved? It certainly appears that way. Throughout history, until a Polish astronomer named Nicolaus Copernicus proved differently, most people thought the sun did move around the earth. Seeing is believing, people said. The earth is the center of the universe, and that settled the matter, or so people thought. In the year 1499, he was 26 years old. Copernicus became an astronomy professor at the University of Rome in Italy. He was a very intelligent young man who had studied in 5 different universities and was qualified to be a teacher, a lawyer, or doctor. In his astronomy classes, he began by teaching his students the old theory put forth by a Greek stargazer named Ptolemy nearly 1350 years before. But even as Copernicus was teaching Ptolemy's theory, his mind was rebelling against it. It just didn't make sense to him. It left so many things unexplained. Why did the stars move at a different speed from the sun and moon? Why did some of the stars seem to wander around the sky? Could there be something wrong with Ptolemy's theory? If it was wrong, he didn't want to go on teaching it. As he studied the subject, Copernicus found that a few wise men before him had also adopted the Ptolemaic theory. They thought the sun, not the earth, was the center of the universe, but none of them had been able to show convincing proof. As a result, Ptolemy's theory had been accepted as correct by the church and by most of the great thinkers of Copernicus' time. But what if those other men had been right? Wouldn't that explain all the questions that were bothering Copernicus? He decided to give up teaching and delve more deeply into the science. We can see the solar system, science of astronomy. He became a priest, accepting that this work would leave him plenty of free time for his studies. Instead, he was busier than ever. Copernicus was put in charge of the cathedral in the tiny mountain village of Frauenburg, Poland. As a priest, he conducted the religious services of the church. As a doctor, he took care of all the sick people of his parish. As an inventor, he devised a dam and a mill that will bring water into the village homes from a river 2 miles below. He worked out a new money system for the Polish government, and to help the church keep track of its holy days, he created a very accurate calendar. All these activities would have been a full-time job for the most men, but the amazing Nicholas Copernicus somehow managed to find time for his favorite subject, astronomy. Since the telescope was not invented till many years after his death, he had to rely on his own eyes to study the movements of the heavenly bodies. He cut slits in the roof of his study in the cathedral tower. As he sat there in the dark, he could see the stars passing across the slits. He kept track of their position in the sky and charted how fast they seemed to be moving. Copernicus made accurate records of everything he observed. Then he worked out mathematical formulas to explain what he saw. Little by little, he began to gather the facts that one day would make up the Copernican theory of astronomy, the one we accept as true today. It took Copernicus nearly 40 years to complete his studies. When he had finished, he had proved that the Ptolemaic theory was wrong. This, said Copernicus, is what really happens. The sun is the center of our universe. The earth is a planet that revolves around the sun. The word planet comes from a Latin word meaning wanderer. There are other planets in addition to the earth. They, too, revolve around the sun. Copernicus knew five of them: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. The other three, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, were not discovered until much later. These nine planets make up what is called our solar system. Solar from Latin means sun. One of the most important points of the Copernican theory is this: while the Earth revolves around the Sun once every year, at the same time it is rotating rapidly on its own axis, an imaginary line that runs through the middle of the Earth like a stick through a lollipop. When our side of the Earth is near the Sun, it is daytime. When we're turned away from the light of the Sun, it is nighttime. This rotation takes 24 hours, the length of one day and one night. What about the moon? Copernicus had to agree with Ptolemy about one fact: the moon does revolve around the earth, while the earth is revolving around the sun. There is much more to the theory, but these are the basic facts. The Copernican theory corrected serious errors that he had been accepted for centuries and set the stage for our modern science of astronomy. Copernicus wrote a book telling about his discoveries, but he kept it locked in his desk for years. He knew that people would laugh at his newfangled ideas and say that he was crazy. He also knew that the church officially approved the old Ptolemaic theory. As a priest, he should not disagree with the church. It wasn't until 1543, when he was old and near death, that he finally decided to publish his book. He called it Revolutions of the Heavenly Orbs. A printed copy of the book arrived at his bedside just a short time before he died. Since he was 70 years old, paralyzed, and nearly blind, it is doubtful that he ever saw the great book that he had spent a lifetime to prepare. Copernicus died never knowing what a great service he had done for the world. In fact, it wasn't until 150 years later that his ideas were completely accepted. Today, more than 4 centuries after his death, he is considered one of the true giants in the world of science. Yeah. The Earth revolves once around the Sun during one year and rotates once in 24 hours on its own axis. As the Earth turns, we get day and night. And next time, we will read Galileo Galilei. And see you until then. Take care. Ciao.